Okay, Frank, here we are. We're back and we're on video number 2. And that looks like we're up to number 12 on the jobs. So, number 12. This is when I returned from the Navy. I went back to the same community college, American River Junior College. It's now called American River College. They couldn't keep that junior. That was horrible. So, don't you know, I went back to the one that I failed out. I got all A's and B's because I'd really grown up in the Navy and I really knew I wanted to get a degree because I'm sitting in the ship in Vietnam in general quarters, which is everything's locked down. There's this officer across from me. He's an officer because he went to college. He's picking his nose and eating it. And I realized, I think I can probably outdo this jerk. I just got to go to college. So I did. So I got all A's and B's. So as soon as I got out of the Navy, the first job I got was I should have never taken it. It was at a bottling company, and I was out in the hot summer of Sacramento loading bottles and clearing bottles. I don't know why I took it. Horrible job. The check they gave me was made out to Richard Manuel Labor Ulrich, and I had a couple other jobs that was the same way they made my check out. So, okay, so now that was 12. We'll go into 13, and here's number 13. While at school at American River, after the Navy, I got a delivery job, and let's see. Okay, good. So I had to read a few of my things. So I was on the GI Bill, what was really great. So I didn't need to have a lot of extra work, but I was living at the folks' house and going to school. And I had the number 13 job was an auto parts delivery. And so, once again, delivery worked out well for me. So off I was around town taking parts to the different, from the supplier to the mechanics. So number 14. Number 14 is about 1968 to 1970. Sometimes I forget the dates exactly. It gets kind of lost. So I was at Long Beach State, and I went there for a job for a degree in psychology. And my buddy from the Navy, he had just finished going to a junior college, and both of us at the same time went to Cal State Long Beach, and we ended up. Well, one of my jobs, we started a janitor business. But the first thing was before I got there, the summer before there in 1968. He and I both met in LA, and we got jobs. And I got a job at the Pillsbury Company because once again it was friends of the family, and so I did all kinds of manual labor work, running from the top of the silo down to the bottom, cleaning stuff. I was running the jackhammer, breaking up cement, tarring the roof. Like I said, again, my check was made out to Richard Manuel Labor Ulrich, and that it was. So, okay, what was that? It was 14. Oh yeah, let's see what number 15 shows up like. So number 15 is during school. So Tom and I, my buddy, we started a janitorial business called T&D Maintenance. Tom and Dick Maintenance. Very creative. And so we did that for quite a while, and it was very lucrative. We didn't have to work too hard. And we lived in the dorms, off-campus dorms, which was a great experience. We had the GI Bill, so our food and lodging was taken care of. All we needed to do was fund money. And so that we did. So that was number 15. Okay. And probably in line with that, let's see, summer jobs. So number 16, a very interesting job that Tom and I got. Here I am, of course, I'm about to finish as a degree in psychology. So I was hired on to a place called Camp McStrauss, run by the Jewish community in LA. It was up in the hills of LA, outside of LA, not very far. You wouldn't have ever guessed it. When you got to this camp, you swear you were in the middle of nowhere. It was a great thing. So what they did is they brought boys from the ghetto to have an experience of an adult male in a camping structure. And it was a very powerful thing for the kids. Very good deal. So the Jewish community did an amazing job. And so that summer, I spent at that camp with different groups coming through, doing things like going out and little camping kind of stuff. The whole idea was I was to make sure that they knew I was in charge, because they weren't used to a male that could actually make decisions and and say what he meant and mean what he said. And so I had to be strong with these kids. Obviously, it's not as easy to do as you think, because they were cute little guys that were very, very fun to be with, and yet I had to make sure they understood the rules and they followed the rules. So Camp McStrauss, number 16, very, very, very good job. Okay, 17, let's see what 17 comes out. Oh, another summer job while I was at college. I worked at a family fun center. So I was hired on as the kind of afternoon, evening manager. They had a lot of high school kids and just in college kids. It was actually run by the Mormon Church, owned by the Mormon Church. Good kids to work with. And so we had all these little things like motorboats on the water and pinball machines and just you name it. It was a really big, very enjoyable, fun to be at family fun center. So miniature golf and all that. So that was, again, another nice job to have for summer at school. Okay, another job, Long Beach. Drove yellow cabs. So I got a yellow cab license and whatever, and then I would go in and literally what happened is you rented the car for the night and then you paid so much to the company, and then you went out driving and the radio said, got somebody to pick up. And I didn't last too long on that because it actually didn't pay much money when all was said and done. As a college guy, if I'd done it full time and had it as a business, I think you could probably make a living at it. Okay, 19, what's 19? Around this time, my parents left, oh, I know it. I hear what it was. I had a very unique opportunity and was trained by two PhDs in a PhD and a psychiatrist that were in the psychology department at Cal State Long Beach, and they ran this very unique thing, and they trained students, or a few students, and I was selected to do what they called a T group, sensitivity group. Now, you younger folks watching this, you'll probably not have heard this, but this would have been at the in the late 60s, first to 70s, thing called sensitivity group, and I was trained to do that, and it was a complete volunteer, and I had this one group. I'm happy to say I had results that the doctors couldn't get from groups, that the other there were master's program people who were trained. I wasn't in the master's program yet, or at that point, and they couldn't get the results I got. It just flowed for me. So there was this group of kids that met off campus, or about 20 of us, and we ended up staying together for a year. And I was in charge of leading usually once a week, and then we had a retreat, and so I was in charge of what we did in that retreat as personal growth stuff. So it was really cool. But then this group called Parents Without Partners, they were single people who had gotten together. Of course, in those days, you didn't have the internet. And they got together as in a meeting and as a group, as a social group. And so they asked me to come and lead them in a sensitivity group. So I did, and it was just a volunteer money, but it was really cool because they paid me, I made some pretty good money. I can remember going back to the dorms. My roommate said, "What'd you do?" I said, "I went to Parents Without Partners." "What's that about?" I said, "Well, it's this." And I just started pulling money out of my pockets. It was a kick. Okay, that was number 19, and we've got 8 minutes, so we got some time. Let me grab number 20 and see how we do on number 20 and see where the timer goes. Okay, so here we go. We got number 20. Seal Beach. So I lived in Seal Beach while in school. And when I left the dorms, I lived in Seal Beach, and I got a job as a live-in manager to a hotel. This is kind of a small hotel. I don't know, they probably had 20 rooms. They're right in Seal Beach, which is part of Long Beach, but it's really good. Today, if you were to buy this hotel in Seal Beach today, it'd have to be $6-8 million at minimum. And so people would come there, a lot from the East Coast, and they literally lived in their hotel room, and there was a little kitchenette, and they would cook there, and they'd go on the beach, and it was a beautiful place to live. So my job was I lived there and managed things and kept things rolling right. So that was pretty good. That was number 20. Okay, 21. There we go with 21. let's say I graduated in 70, and I went up to the Bay Area because my folks had moved from Sacramento to the Bay Area. So I went up there because I had, where else do you go after school? My first job was cleaning carpets. And so I hired on as a carpet crew to clean carpets. Now, one of the reasons I did this, because you didn't need a 4-year degree to clean carpets, but that's, Frank, when I came across the S training, an amazing thing that Frank knows about and Nancy knows about. Bill had taken the training. It was quite an interpersonal thing that was unlike anything you can imagine. You younger folks watching, if you want to pull me to the side and talk to me about it, it was quite something. So because of that, I wanted to have my time available, so I worked during the days, so I could go to the meetings at night in downtown San Francisco, and so I did that. So I was carpet cleaning, yeah, that was it. That was my notes. So I did the carpet cleaning so I could keep going to the meetings. Number 22, Bay Area also. Now this was Easy Method Driving School. So I got a in the car, California certified in the car driving instructor license, so I could work for this company. And so I had a car that I drove, and it had a steering wheel and a brake on the right side, and I could basically four-wheeled, I could park it from the right side because I had a wheel and everything. So I trained high school kids. It was the main contract I was hired for. But in addition to that, I trained Asian women to drive. Now, I tell you, you want a spooky job. You want something you figure you're not going to live through? That would be this. Asian women driving in San Francisco. Holy smokes. And it turns out it's a social thing. They believe they cannot drive because they've been told that, and they had a hard time driving, but they had all the abilities. There was no question about that. Okay, number 23. What are we at? 12 minutes. Let's see how 23 is. I'm going to hold off on this one. This is a fun one. So I'm going to stop at number 22, and we'll pick up on number 23. All righty.